again, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Belly Up Sound Off. I, of course, am your amazing host, Jerry Clem, alongside Big Boss Mike Brown and other Big Boss Blaine, and my favorite troll, ZachMac. Thank God KJ's not here again.
He said
You're going to make me cry.
I know your boyfriend's not here, Zach. I'm sorry.
Equal rights. Easy.
Oh, no. They're heterosexual life partners. That's all I mean.
Yeah, can I set the record straight? I am heterosexual.
Perfect.
All right. All joking aside, we have a big show today. We have Andrew Luck coming. We have a whole Andrew Luck thing about him retiring and all the craziness about it. Brissett taking shots at Colts fans booing. Mark Riley crying himself to sleep for the last 4 nights. Then we also have Mike Haynes taking on the Gators, and why I'm going to tell you that Florida is in a lot of trouble after that game. And I'm kind of – anybody watch the Hawaii-Arizona game, by the way?
I did.
You did? Did you love the ending like I did?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Exactly. And we also have a bunch more. Let's get rocking and rolling. First, guys, biggest story in sports. It will be probably until the NFL season kicks off. Andrew Luck announced his retirement Saturday night during the Miami Hurricanes Florida Gators game. It was during a Colts preseason game, by the way. Adam Schefter broke the news. And basically, during the game, you saw the live video feed from everyone's social media accounts. You saw Colts fans booing him. And honestly, I now have a couple days to kind of like get over it, because during the game I was like, oh, fuck Indianapolis. Like, that's like such a scum thing to do. The poor guy basically is built like a glass shelf at this point. He can't stay healthy, and the poor guy is just trying to win them games. But I'll open up the floor. Big Boss Mike, you're up first.
To me, obviously I was watching that sloppy mess of a week 0 Miami versus Florida game, as you recall, and then I see breaking news across the bottom, like, what could this possibly be? And almost in that sense, I felt like it was some kind of spoof or joke. I didn't know, like I remember when Calvin Johnson retired, I was out and I was eating, I don't even know, we were sitting at like Applebee's or something like that, and I couldn't believe it. And I almost feel like this hit me harder than Calvin for some reason. I don't know why. I didn't believe it. But the more you hear, I wrote a quick article about it, and I was able to talk to Dan Orlovsky, which was nice. It got his take on it.
By the way, tell him he's got to get on the corner booth one of these days.
So it's just, the more I hear about it, I've heard things that, whether this is true or not, that Luck actually let the team know earlier, like right when camp broke in the very beginning, that this was his intentions. And they said that, let's hold on to this until the season starts to sell tickets. Whether that's true or not, either way, this team is this team, it's not a bad team. This is not a bad team. There's a lot of hype around them. I think Jacoby, he's not going to fill in for them like Luck would, but he did what he needed to do. You got Marlon Mack, but it's going to be a totally different a ball club. Jacoby's not the long-term answer. Obviously, he's going to get his shot. I'm sure they're going to draft somebody next year, but I feel like there's going to be so much more to the story in a few weeks coming out. A lot more that you don't, get. I mean, you see a lot of these young guys now hanging it up because of CTE and kind of all that stuff. And then what LeRon McClain posted on Twitter the other day, he just went on like a dark rant of like, he was pretty much tweeting to the NFL saying he needs help because of all the issues you remember. So to me personally, Luck, I mean, he could have gone down as one of the greatest if he could have stayed healthy, even maybe the next 10 years. But, for Mark's sake, he's got plenty of room next to me on the Stafford bandwagon. So,
Mike, you and me have been driving that thing for months, though. So.
I know. I'm full-fledged ahead. I mean,
he's got to sit in the back. You and me have been riding shotgun and driver forever. So, all right, Blaine, what do you got?
I mean, that brings up a whole different discussion, CTE and like the average lifespan of professional players in itself. But in terms of like Andrew Luck, I mean, let's go over the injuries he's had the past couple of years.
Labrum tear, lacerated kidney, high ankle sprain this year.
Yeah.
What, 2 concussions?
Ribs.
Ribs.
So I mean, he's basically had from neck down serious injuries.
And they're all from hits. It's not from like, he's running out of bounds and he slipped like McNabb.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Yeah.
He gets
tanked. Yeah, and that's the thing is like you see the clips on Twitter. Hey, nice hit, big boy, nice hit. But it's like he felt every single one of those hits to earn that respect to actually say that, and then for people to actually boo that, like that was complete disrespect.
You're talking probably one of the nicest guys in the NFL. Yeah, that's the hard thing.
Legitimately, like and the funny thing is like I was looking over Twitter just before we started this. And like the account that has him as like a old Civil War general, like just reading that sounds sad. Like so, it's like I think Luck made his spot on that team, and he's got a legacy. Even though rings count, but I mean to boo him, I think that was a wrong way to do things. And if it's true that they basically said, hey, wait until tickets are sold, that's horrible. All right.
Zach, and I got about 15 points to hit on this one, all in rapid fire.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so I have to echo the CT thing. Obviously, we saw the speech that Rob Gronkowski gave today, so he's kind of reiterating the same type of thing as these injuries that these football players go through, and it's the best decision for them to hang it up when they feel like it's right to hang it up. And as far as the fans booing them, obviously they're just worried about what their team does in a season. So it's a very narrow-minded reaction, and you really don't have to pay it any mind because, by week 4 they'll be over it, and they're just on to the future of their team. They're going to root for whatever is on the field. But as far as Andrew Luck, I think it's the right decision. Obviously, he knows best, and I don't. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you saw Doug Gottlieb's tweet, but I tend to, I know a lot of people are going against it.
I saw what you said today. I was like, oh my God, he's gonna make a point about this tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I do think it's a millennial thing to do. I don't think he's wrong about that. I don't think it's the most millennial thing. The most millennial thing to do is to miss a belly up sound off show because you got a speeding ticket, Mark Riley. But
roast to my boy.
Get that out there.
But the problem with the tweet is that Andrew Luck's not a millennial. He's more of probably a Gen X. But I think
he's a millennial.
Okay. Either way, I mean, if you put him on the bubble, the point is a lot of millennials and a majority of Gen X are just every generation gets smarter. That's just the way humanity works. So saying it's a millennial thing to do, a lot of people took that as a negative connotation. It's not a negative connotation. It is a millennial thing to do, but it doesn't mean it's not a smart thing to do. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I completely get you.
Can't fault him for that, yeah.
I'm about to smack Doug Gottlieb out of the ballpark here. First of all, he sucked so bad, and basically he just retired for the NBA and had to get a broadcasting job because basically nobody wanted a 5'11" white boy who could barely shoot. Second of all, if we're really going to talk about this whole Andrew Luck thing, we got to start from the beginning. Yes, I get why the fans are caught up in the emotion. The whole, fan is short for fanatic. So basically they're supposed to give guys like us jobs in media to be unemotional. These people pay $85 a freaking ticket for a game. They're in there. They're invested in their team. And to hear in the moment with 3 of these in their system that their starting quarterback's retired, they don't give a F if it's because his father just died. They're still booing him. And half these guys 2 days later are like, oh my God, I feel so horrible. Jacoby Brissett today ripped them for it. And I see why he's defending his quarterback. Luck has kind of acted like almost like a big brother to him because basically now Brissett, he's got the reins to the horse.
I can't take Zach serious as he slams that.
I know, right? ZachMac going full send today, boys. And the whole thing about this, I'm a big Fox Sports guy. I listen to Clay Travis in the morning. I listen to Coward in the afternoon. And they both had different takes. I love Travis's point about, 2 or 3 days later, they felt bad about it. Because basically these guys are caught up in emotion. The fans don't understand. This guy basically was taking shot after shot from one of the worst offensive.
Giving his life, yeah.
Over basically the past 4 years. You look at what it was until the year Chris Ballard took over. Those 3-4 years that you had without him when, who's the meathead they had for a while as their GM? His name's I can't think of
he didn't even – I was just reading that too. He wouldn't even acknowledge players. Like he didn't even know them by name when he would walk. I forget his name too.
he was also like there was like stories that Cowherd was talking about when he like had like NFL writers from the Colts on there. Like he was more in the gym with half the players than he was actually in the office. Yeah, basically, and his name's gonna escape me, but I swear to Ryan Grigson. But basically, Grigson made a crap offensive line. All of his offensive line picks busted anything 3 rounds or up for the whole stretch Luck was playing there, and it turns into this guy makes it to the playoffs his first year, his rookie year, makes the playoffs. Goes to the Super Bowl with a garbage offensive line and team minus T.Y. Hilton and takes on the Patriots. You have to hold the Flakegate and they got smoked, whatever. But basically, Luck was great and one of the most talented quarterbacks we've seen in the last 20 years. The problem was all that abuse, he doesn't have that iron horse kind of build like a Favre or a Stafford or some of these other guys who literally just play, Eli Manning, who just played for like years on years with taking shot after shot. Andrew Luck's a Cali kid. He maybe isn't just built like he's supposed to with how reckless his style was running and taking shots. And it's no surprise to me he retired early. As much as it's sad to see a guy with talent like this, at the end of the day, it's almost expected that he was going to retire before, like a guy like Brady or Breeze would retire when they basically have developed a whole style to keep themselves like in the pocket. I even see reports now that Wentz refuses to run outside the pocket unless there's nothing. And you see guys like Aaron Rodgers who are injured every other season because they're trying to improvise. And at the end of the day, it comes down to the quarterback position itself and about, sliding, avoiding bad hits, throwing the ball away. And it's some things that Luck just didn't do in his early career, and it probably just cost him his career, basically, because now he's like a walking body bag.
You're talking literally Luck. Luck is in a lose-lose situation. He was the one that essentially, I wouldn't say he ran Peyton out of town, but he was the one that was enough to replace Peyton to let him go. Like you said, he comes in hot as his rookie year, so the table was set high, the bar was set high per se. Yeah. And then, year after year we dealt with this and there's I don't even know after that outside of his rookie year there was no consistency. I mean, last year it wasn't a horrible year by any means. It was actually a pretty good year for a quarterback, but what we were used to hit when he was really hitting on all cylinders, it wasn't even kind of what he was doing. So like kind of Zach and Jared both said, the fans are caught up in the moment. To me, yeah, it's poor taste, poor judgment, but especially being at the game, I know what it's like to have a few beers in me. Oh yeah, you want to.
I tried to fight an entire section of Jets fans once, Mike. I completely get you.
But and that's why, and of course, it's easy for me to talk about Stafford. Well, Stafford started his career almost the exact same way. He was injured all the time. And since then, I mean, he has – it's hard to believe that he started the way he was because everybody said, oh, this dude's made of glass. But all of a sudden now he's in the category with, being an Iron Man. He hasn't missed a start. And both of them are Luck was more, I think, more overall athletic. Stafford's got the bigger arm, but they both were in situations where they had nothing around them. They had crap. They were running for their lives. Luck, in his case, was a little more athletic, so he could make more of it. But in the long run, it actually took a bigger toll on his body because he's running 10, 15 yards downfield. Like Jared said, he's not pulling up or running out of bounds. He's taking these hits. And who knows long-term what it's going to be. But when a man tells you at 29 years old that he wakes up and he's not even, he's not even excited to play football anymore and he's making millions, that speaks volumes.
Well, here's the other thing, Mike. You remember his little fumble recovery touchdown against the Chiefs in the playoffs 3 years ago? Look at the shot he takes on that.
Oh yeah,
that's just a microcosm of what he took over his career. He talked about before the "oh shucks, good hit" guy. All that stuff you'd say before. It comes down to the fact that the guy just gets destroyed, and you can't even imagine. Listen, I played varsity football for 3 years. Played Pop Warner, played freshman, whatever. Basically, the abuse I took. I have a knee injury that's not going to heal completely properly, and I played at Class LL in Connecticut as a left tackle and D-end. I don't even want to know the kind of hits he took. So basically, it's just people need to understand, he's human. These guys aren't superheroes like we make them out to be. The guy who says he's Superman, Cam Newton, maybe not.
Yeah,
we don't know what he's up with his foot. My boy Will Greer might get the start.
Yeah, he's on the injury prone list too.
So there you go. It's about being smart as a quarterback now, and that's why I'm hoping my boy Ginger Jesus will like stay in the pocket more and throw the ball away if he doesn't have it. But
it probably would be a little different if he felt like he owed the Colts something. But honestly, if you think about it, I mean, other than T.Y. Hilton, they haven't really surrounded him with anything. And he's laying his
the best running back he's had his entire career is Marlon Mack.
Yeah,
I think they just randomly hit on that.
Yeah, he's laying his body on the line for this team, and they're not putting anything around him. And I think it'd be different if they had surrounded him and they're like, scratching at a Super Bowl, but they're just not. He probably doesn't feel like
that
he owes
right
anything
now,
to the franchise.
Everyone's like rolling. This is a problem. Like we were doing a Super Bowl preview show our football preview show on the corner booth last night. It'll be up probably end of the week. I got to redo the intro and everything, but basically, I got an argument with Savannah and Kevin basically because I said the Colts won't win a lot of games because yes, their defense is loaded, but their offensive personnel. I'm trying to understand where this whole Super Bowl favorite came from. Is it just purely off Andrew Luck's talent? Which I understand that, but I never was a big believer in Andrew Luck being a generational, be instantly putting them from a 7-win team to a 13-win team overnight. But basically, that's what I saw. Because what? Marlon Mack, Eric Ebron, and then T.Y. Hilton. That's it. That's their weapons. And to me, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's not garbage, but I'm trying to see the whole Super Bowl favorite thing. And with the Colts right now, I just, that team, they got a great defense. They got, Darius Leonard and that whole crew putting together the offensive line. But they're going to struggle because they don't have the explosiveness. So, they were going to be a year away from winning a Super Bowl if Luck was healthy and if he could stay healthy. But now they're back to above the Bengals but below the Titans.
So let's say Andrew Luck rehabs on his own. A couple years down the road, he's feeling healthy. Do you think there's ever a chance he comes back, or is he just done?
No,
I've heard from guys like Jay Glazer when they're on the shows and stuff like that. It's done. He's done. He can't. It's the way he talked about it. You hear all these guys saying, "Oh, he might come back." I'm like, no. If you go through this much emotional pain and this much physical pain, and you can't in 29. To do this that early and for it to be a quarterback, a position that's protected. It's not like Patrick Willis, who retired at 30, or Megatron, who retired at 30, or Barry Sanders. All guys play positions you took a lot of shots. He plays quarterback. He's protected. The league made rules to protect quarterbacks. If he does not feel comfortable doing the whole rehab and doing this every damn day and healing from more injuries, he may just be finally listening to his body and saying, listen, I can't do this anymore. I think it's a 1% chance. Like Irsay calls him freaking out. Let's say they draft some quarterback or Brissett actually becomes a decent starter and they're in a playoff run. They're in first place by 2 games over Jacksonville. And oh wait, Brissett's went down with a torn ACL. Andrew, can you suit up and play? Oh shucks, Jim, I got you in 2 years. That's basically it. That's the only way I can see that happening because I just don't see Luck doing that any other way because he's not going to want to go through the whole rigmarole of training camp and hits and rehab and all this other stuff that his body's been suffering through. He's had more injuries at the age of 29 that most quarterbacks don't have in their entire fucking career. All
right, real quick, going on to the next one.
Yeah.
Jared, do they retire Luck's number within the next 10 years?
Yes.
Zach?
No.
Blaine?
Yep.
I think they will.
All right.
I can just see it right in the wall.
God, I can't believe I'm going to be the only one that's right.
Ladies and gents, you see what's on my hat. I am still a proud Canes fan even today. The Hurricanes took on Florida in the highest-rated college football game in over 3 years, by the way, fellas.
Yeah, it took week 0 for that.
Rating. It was, incredibly tuned in. I was, you know what? It was a sloppy game. It was an ugly game. There was 2 pass interference calls that basically gave Miami a shot at the end zone on the last drive, a Felipe Franks interception that was awful. And I have another 3,000 things to say, but I'll let you guys do your topics first so I can do what I do with the Jay-Z topic and smoke all of you. So, wow. ZachMac, you're up first.
Sure, I'll go first. My biggest take is people from Florida don't know how to tackle. The game was absolutely ugly. And honestly, the biggest takeaway I had was the difference between NFL having a preseason and college not having a preseason. I don't think that necessarily either of these teams will be bad, even though that's the vibe that we got from the game because it was extremely sloppy. I don't think you can argue that.
You had 2 of the top 10 best pass rushes in the entire college circuit, and bad offensive lines.
Yeah, it was just there was terrible tackling. There was unforced turnovers. It was, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was a good game to watch, but it was sloppy and neither quarterback impressed me. But I do think that Miami, even though they lost, has the brighter future this season. Maybe part of that has to be with being in the ACC versus being in the SEC. But I think Florida's in a world of trouble after that game.
Mike, what do you got?
Between the two, you look at Felipe's stat line on paper. It doesn't look horrible, honestly. But going forward, to me, based off of last year and what he's endured, and how he finally came back on the end of last season, and he finally came back. He kind of cemented himself as the true starter. He pretty much told his home crowd to be quiet. I'm here. I didn't think anybody was going to come out because, like Jared said, these are two defenses. But I mean, you saw Florida at its best, even though it was sloppy and it's essentially its worst. You saw the athletes on this field, the speed, the way that these guys could well, I mean, I guess be there, but essentially they were missing a lot of tackles and stuff. You just saw in general that was the biggest thing is Florida gets recruited throughout the nation. A lot of them go to Ohio, and that's a nice thing. That's where
or go to Alabama.
Yes, I mean just the big programs. So those guys that stayed home, you could see it was just a bunch of homegrown Florida boys playing. But to me, what? Go ahead.
Most of the starters, I was looking at the recruiting, the starters, like basically they had all their hometowns. There was only 4 or 5 guys on Florida from Florida that were in the starting.
And actually, okay, so I did see this. Maybe this was I should have tried to find the picture. But did you guys see the picture of the Hurricane running behind the Florida guy, and he had the Gator towel tucked in his pants, and it was like the perfect image as he was running behind a Gator to try to tackle him. As a Miami Hurricane, the Florida Gator towel was hanging between his legs.
I did not see that.
I'm gonna have to find that. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. Either way, I agree with Zach. I think Florida has a tougher time going forward. Both teams, they have a great defense. They say defense wins championships. I get that, but the way college football is now, you can have a great defense and still give up 50 points, and it's a shootout all day long.
You play Trevor Lawrence or something like that.
Yeah, Felipe, he doesn't get it done. But then again, on the flip side, the Hurricanes were not moving the ball unless they ran of all things, the Wildcat.
All right. Get off the Colin Davis take.
No, this was the reason I had to like it was because I was thinking the whole
it's
damn
not
thing
even
when
true.
I was
The first
watching
touchdown was out of the shotgun.
Either way, I mean, this was a sloppy game. 3
plays on a Wildcat, Mike. You got to go back and look at the tape.
3 plays, and they were all probably over 15 yards.
Yeah, they were like the DJ Dallas.
That was the most movement all game, other than Florida swing or screen.
No, that was a. I'm gonna X that take out. You lost points for that one.
Reality, easy.
But either way, watching football before you come into my dojo like that, Mike.
Either way, you should watch more film.
That's all I do. That's why
I watch film.
Life.
Zach, you drinking?
All right,
a little bit.
Blaine, you're up. Mike's kicked out.
I didn't even finish, but okay.
That's funny. To be honest with you, the game, like both touching on every point, I mean, it was sloppy. But with the upside, I hope the Hurricanes actually finish better than Florida, because I always think Florida's overrated year after year, to be perfectly honest with you. No matter what kind of roster they put together, 100%.
Yeah, but the past couple of years, they really haven't been that even rated. They went from one of the best recruiting classes in the nation. That pretty much.
That's why I'll make it about Dan Mullen later. But Blaine, keep going.
But I mean, and that's the thing is, like, and with it being week 0, you knew we were going to see something sloppy. We knew we weren't going to see like polished people. But to be honest with you, the hype. I mean, Michael Irvin, like being hyped through that whole week, and then
he was straight.
Then he has touchdown brass knuckles
on the sugar
and turnover chain. Like, I mean, that's going to bring some excitement to the season, to be honest with you. So I think the Miami has the upside. And I mean, Brandon's going to hate this take, but like I said, Florida's overrated. And
yeah, but boy, Brandon the Ghost, like you're afraid of something that's not there.
All right, Jesus.
All right. Here we go. Okay, first off, to start off, this week's college zero, week zero stuff is going to continue. ESPN sees the maker in it, so it's college. They're going to throw like Alabama versus LSU next year on the first game of the season.
Alabama conference game.
I'm sorry. Nick Saban would never agree to that.
Yeah,
they'll probably do like LSU Texas next year because both those coaches aren't chickens about the schedule. Basically, it's a moneymaker. This whole thing is great, but it's going to be sloppy. But it shows off so much more of the game. It's a less polished, more almost not pure, but it's a more dumbed down version of the game. And if we're going to talk quarterbacks, first of all, straight up, Felipe Franks. I never seen this guy play in my life before. I watched one Florida game last year. Who was even playing? Basically, Franks showed me three things. One, the dude's got to stop talking on the goddamn sideline. When Dan Mullins to pull him off to the side 4 times, and I think Dan Mullins a cocky jackass. When he's got to tell Felipe Franks to calm it down from talking to Miami fans on the sideline, you got to chill.
Why is he got to calm it down? He won the game.
He almost lost them the game. That defense won them the game.
Florida's defense let Miami back in it on the last drive.
Yeah, but they also shut down Miami's defense when it mattered most. Basically, Franks' stat line, Mike said it's not that bad. If you actually watch if you actually look.
I said on paper.
On paper. No, I'm agreeing with you.
He did.
I did say on paper. On paper, basically, it's a solid game, especially for 2 top 10 defenses duking it out. But you watch his actual reads.
Yeah, you watch it. It was miserable.
Everything. He's
watching Mitch Trubisky.
Factor. He runs like a running back, but basically, his pick was in the triple coverage. I thought Romeo Finley was going to run that back to the house. And at the end of the day, Zach was saying Jared Williams wasn't looking that impressive, or he was looking average. What he looked like his first drive to his last drive, minus the sack at the end of the game, basically I was like, oh my God, this kid's throwing the ball away. He's scrambling. He's looking downfield. All things as a Miami fan, I haven't seen since Ken Dorsey was our quarterback in 2002. Basically, he's a pocket passer, and that makes me.
Here?
Oh my God, Mike, eat it, dick.
Oh my God,
this is so. We easily went from G-rated to already. I don't even know if we can cut this anymore.
Jared made this R-rated by himself. What are you talking about?
The first 5 seconds he dropped the F-bomb, and then he said he tried to later in the episode. He was like, "For F's sakes," I'm like, "Well, why we changed it now?" So, anyways, so Jared, I know you still got some more, but so first game, I know it's a small sample size. You haven't seen Tate, but right now, small sample size. Are you okay with the quarterback situation?
I am all on the Williams train because it's the little things he did right. And the fact is that Tate Martell is not even – he might lose the 3rd spot in the quarterback depth chart.
Yeah, he's playing like slot now. I didn't realize he was playing
he asked to be transferred because Manny Diaz said, listen, you may not even get the 3rd spot in quarterback because they had N'Kosi Perry backing him up. And you guys know I'm a big N'Kosi Perry guy.
I forgot Perry's still there, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember your article from last year.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
literally shot them in the foot after that Florida State game. Basically, Perry's the backup. Williams is the starter. Apparently, Williams smoked everybody in camp. They just kept it quiet. And Martell moving the slot receiver is perfect. The guy's an athlete. He runs almost a sub 4.4. He moves.
Gives a lot of options.
It's a lot of, and also the double passes, screens, like Wildcat. It's a lot of stuff Miami can use, especially with Dan Enos, the new offensive coordinator. It works. And like Blaine said before, it actually comes down to the schedules. Miami does not play a single ranked opponent unless they go to the ACC title game against Clemson. And Florida plays 4.
So you got the Bama schedule.
Yeah. They don't play Bama, which I'm so sad because I would have told – I wanted to text Kevin and I'd be like, oh, no, Miami has a Bama schedule. There's nothing on there. Basically, Florida has a awful schedule. I think they play LSU in Death Valley. I think they play Texas A&M. They play can't think of the teams right now. I had it all up, but there's 4 ranked teams. Miami plays 0. Their most challenging game is at Pitt and Virginia. That's it. Duke is not going to be as good as everyone thinks they are. They were barely even competent last year, and Alabama might have 70 by halftime on Saturday. But basically, I'm telling you right now, Miami may finish the season with 1 or 2 losses before the title game, and Florida will at least have 4.
I like
Felipe Franks will lose his starting job by week 10. I'm telling you right now.
I can see that. I don't even know who they're at, but I can see that.
Like, it was like watching a Pop Warner kid trying to play high school ball. It was awful.
That whole game was like watching that.
Well, it's like watching your Buckeyes tear everyone in that garbage conference apart. But I mean, seriously.
That's the only thing we got going for us, but we'll see. But
anyways, you out before, but I was going at your takes.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
All right,
plenty on you. So, but transitioning real quick, check. We also actually, to tell you the truth, we just started with week 0. We're actually running on our forum. It actually is. It's pretty cool. Zach throws some images up there. We've actually got we call it the belly up gameplay. Last week, obviously, we had the Miami Florida game. Go on our forum, guess the scores, and guess the winner. And if you get it, obviously, you get a shirt from our store on us. I believe John actually won it this past week. This week's game, technically week 1, is actually who do we got? What do we got? Oregon,
Oregon Tigers.
Auburn. So go on our forum, check it out. You can just go to our website, click on forum. What are you laughing at? Oh, this dude pulling, taking hits in the background.
Like it's his job.
He's got a big old dip in his mouth, and he's just.
I can't see y'all's video, so I don't know when you're laughing at me.
And then I think he's got a water too over there.
Dude, he's packing a full-on floor-sized hammer off too.
Yeah. Chaser.
I'm just prepared over here.
So, anyway,
American Classic.
Visit our website, win a shirt on us, predict the score and the winner. Be the first one to do that. If there is a tie, we'll throw you guys in a hat and pick off that. That's only right. Last week we did have a winner. We're going to do this all season, so it's nice. Drive a little traffic to our site, see you guys talk a little smack, and line up against us and see how our picks are doing. Jared, I see your mouth moving like you got Tourette's. What do you got to say?
Oh no, I just thought of a new topic for our roundtable because we still have like a little open space right now.
Is that what you're going? While you're thinking about?
No, actually, no. I was cleaning out my teeth, but thanks for noticing, Mike.
I see the gerbil in your head running. So.
Everyone thinks I'm an idiot, dude. I just let everyone.
Nobody thinks you're an idiot. It's just great content.
Jared, I want to clear the air on Williams for the Hurricanes, his quarterback. I said I wasn't impressed, but I also realized he's a freshman in week 0. So,
I do agree with that because you did agree with me on my tweet that I had the Barcelona Miami before that Mike liked the response instead of mine. I'm a little bitter about that, big man.
It was great,
and he didn't throw a pick, so I mean.
Yeah, he didn't make dumb turnovers. That's the biggest thing to me. Like, if I see usually most redshirt freshmen, will just get eaten alive like that.
Especially against a defense like that. Oh, my God. It's just end the show, bro. I'm out.
Just drop your tequila. Oh, my God. This is maybe the first show that we're like, topics. We're pretty much in the round table already.
Yeah. All right. Well, I actually have a good round table for us because last week we did touch on most overrated teams in the NFL. Guys, now we got to dig deep here. Who is the most underrated team? That team you think could sneak into the playoffs? We're going to do 2 each, AFC and NFC. Make your cases. Teams that could actually sneak into the playoffs. They don't have to do any games. They could get smoked in the first round. But I'm talking about a team that comes out from not making the playoffs, being garbage, or even just having a roster that look that impressive on paper that could sneak into the playoffs. So who wants to go first here?
You're going to have to go first because you put us all on the spot.
I know, exactly. All right, first off, my AFC team is the New York Jets. Basically, I looked at this roster and I was like, okay, my run-up was the Jacksonville Jaguars because now that Andrew Luck's gone, they're going to get at least another win out of that one. They could go 9-7. But I love the Jets with from inside out. That's how you build a team. Ryan Khalil coming back. They fixed the whole guard problem. Their tackles are but I mean, when you run the ball 80% of the time with Le'Veon Bell, you're going to be fine. I love Robbie Anderson's a very underrated deep threat. I think their tight ends are good enough to service Sam Darnold. Their defense is disgusting middle. They need to fix those cornerbacks. But basically, they're going to win a lot of games against a weak AFC, and they're going to probably sneak into the playoffs. I just think they have enough personnel to get them there. I think this is where we see the Sam Darnold jump. I don't think he'll ever catch Baker, but he will be that number 2 to Baker out of that class. And my NFC team, Mike is going to love this. It's the Detroit Lions.
Oh, man, that's a kiss of death.
Actually, it's not. The last time I picked them to win the division, they made it to the playoffs. But, whatever, Mike. You can diss me all you want. Basically, I explained this last night, and I swear to God, I thought Savannah's Packers blood was going to boil over when I said this. I don't hate the roster at all. I'm looking for the bad on the roster. There's nothing. It's all average to good to great. You have a shutdown corner on Darius Slay. You have a decent pass rush with Trey Flowers. You have a great receiving core with Galladay, Jones, and Amendola. You have a second-year coach in Matt Patricia who now has his guys. And you have the old gunslinger Matthew Stafford. And a running back you can actually possibly get 1,000 yards with, Kerryon Johnson. And you're telling me in a division with the Bears who have no functional quarterback, the Packers who have no roster besides Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, and the Vikings who have the biggest bank heist guy ever in Kirk Cousins at starting quarterback, you're going to tell me the Lions can't go 10-6 in that division? Are you kidding me? There's a shot. I love it. I'm all in on the Lions this year. I think they're going to surprise a lot of teams. I think they're going to get smoked in the second round when they play a real team like Philly or LA or New Orleans. But they still are going to do some damage because they have a more complete roster than the rest of the division. As we've seen in years past, you cannot win with just 2-3 parts. You need a complete roster to win games. And honestly, the Vikings have the closest complete roster to them, and so do the Bears. But their problem is the guy under center. Besides Rodgers, the next guy down is Stafford, and then it's a country mile before you get Trubisky and Cousins. And those two kind of flip-flop every week. So those are my two. Who wants to go next? Or react. I don't care. Hit me.
I'll go. I kind of like this. So it's funny because I was thinking about this actually last week when we were talking about like, okay, who would be that kind of saying that question. So I do have the Jags. I think Fournette's ceiling when he's healthy is there's no Yeldon. You got a quarterback that should be serviceable. Should I mean he knows how to win the game. The big
third member Nick.
So yeah, I do actually before you said anything, but going to the NFC, I love what you're saying, and I'm all in on the Lions. That's my team. I'm not saying that Jared's giving us the kiss of death. It was more. I've been here. I've lived it. I've breathed it.
Mark picks them,
but this year, Jared's completely right. That division is probably the most wide open division in all of football. It comes down to quarterback play. Is Stafford the best quarterback in that division? No, but I have him at number 2. But Rodgers, exactly what Jared said. There's nothing. Aaron Jones. I could care less about Aaron Jones. The people that are drafting him in fantasy football right now.
He came in like 18 rushing.
Is just blowing my mind. Between carrying on everything, they've got a few injury concerns starting off early in the season with Davis and Ragnow, just based off of last preseason. But Patricia, he's been called a slouch. He's been called so many different things. Again, Jared, this is probably the most I'll ever agree with him. Second year, people are in position. He's brought his players in. Trey Flowers hasn't even played a snap yet in preseason, which we don't need him to, I mean, not to mention Mike Daniels, just in general, Snacks Harris. Granted, I can talk up this roster because I know it. Darius Slay.
I didn't bring up Harrison, but that's another good point.
and even an unmentioned member that actually plays bigger than he is exactly is Quandre Diggs at safety. He's a ball hawk. Either way, it is going to come down to offense. That's what it comes down to. It seems like last year our defense was sustainable. They kept us in some games. Stafford could make some late drives. Not like the fourth quarter comebacks that he used to have, but I can't even tell you. I forget how many games last year we only lost by three points or less. So
they were my heartbreak kids last year, Mike. Every time I try to bet on them.
So I can appreciate it, and that's about the most takes that I'll ever agree with Jared on. So,
all right. We'll go from a Detroit fan to Blaine. I don't even know who you root for, Blaine, honestly.
So I'm a Lions fan.
Really? Okay, so I'm surrounded by Lions fans right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm on the Lions train too. It's about that. I mean, I think in the AFC, I mean, you can't count out the Steelers. As much as I don't want to say any other team, But the Steelers, I mean, they've been pretty quiet. They lost Bell, they lost Brown, but at the same time, they still return majority of their talent in terms of their roster. So you can't count them out because they're always the top of the AFC. And if they miss the playoffs, it's because of one dumb play in a game. So I think I'm going to put the Steelers in the AFC. Now the NFC, that's kind of tough for me because, of course, Lions. But I'll go with a different pick, maybe in that same division, because let's spice it up a little bit. So Kirk Cousins. Let's talk about the Vikings.
No way you're going this route.
All
right, guys, I'm going to bed. Night, guys.
Let's do it. I'm ready for it.
So
Spartans, baby.
Yeah. So let's take a look. They got everybody that was injured coming back. Kirk Cousins needs a redemption in terms of the season that he had last year. So let's put him on the map. Am I wrong?
No, I like that. I mean, Jared posed the question a couple episodes back about who had the most to prove, and I said Kirk Cousins. If 100%. He comes out and proves it, I think they could find themselves in the playoffs.
He's a paid man. He don't care.
Paid men still have a job to do.
That's true.
But that doesn't mean they do it. Look at Jamarcus Russell. You robbed the Raiders blind and just mailed it in.
Hey, but it also doesn't mean they don't do it.
If you play for the Raiders, you rob them blind because you know you're going to get paid no matter what.
Yeah, just win, baby. Just get paid, baby.
Just win.
Good Lord. All right,
Zach.
Blaine's take was quick, shocking, but go ahead, Zach.
All right, I'll start the AFC. I'm gonna go Ravens. A lot of people got Browns and, like Blaine said, Steelers maybe stealing a spot. I don't want to count the Ravens yet. I think Baltimore's a tough place to play as far as an away game. And Lamar Jackson could come out and have a huge year. Obviously, he had a big last half of last year. Flacco's gone, so that distraction is out of there. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Ravens steal a wild card spot in the AFC. In the NFC, since these knuckleheads took my Lions, I'm going to go with the Niners. They got Garoppolo, obviously, coming off of injury. Could have a big year. I think Tevin Coleman and Matt Breida as a running back committee isn't something that you would scoff at. And I think a lot of people obviously got the Rams winning that division, but I think the Niners could come in and steal over the Seahawks and the Cardinals a wild card spot in the NFC.
I don't hate either of those picks, honestly. I think that Lamar Jackson getting Hollywood Brown in the draft was a great idea. Because now it gives him a speed weapon that, he didn't have last year. Yes, John Brown was fast, but he couldn't really run routes. And the Niners, it's all about basically if they can keep Garoppolo upright. I didn't even scoff at all at the fact he had a 0.0 quarterback rating 2 weeks ago, but basically it was his first snap since he tore his ACL. At that point, I don't think anybody would be ready to rock and roll at that point. I love their running backs. I love their receivers. I picked the Niners to actually, I think, sneak into the playoffs in the NFC if I have that correct. Oh, no, I had them just missing behind Detroit and Dallas. But
yeah, you can go ahead and adjust that right now.
Yeah, I actually might, honestly, because the fact that I picked Dallas in the playoffs is just god-awful. Now that Zeke might not even play for the first couple weeks. I passed on him for DeAndre Hopkins in my fantasy draft, by the way, so there you go.
Speaking of Zeke and Melvin, do either one of them get resolved by the end of the preseason?
I think Melvin does before Zeke does.
No way. I think Melvin's on the outside looking in because he has no leg to stand on because Zeke's better running than him.
Well, here's the thing with Melvin is that the Chargers number and his number are only what I heard from Cowherd, I heard from Glazer and a couple other guys was basically it's like $2 or $3 million they're off on. It's not.
I thought he's demanding a trade.
I don't know.
Only if you can't get a contract done, I thought.
Yeah, only if you can't get a contract done. But basically, if they throw him listen, we'll meet you halfway, and he just says, you know what, screw it. Then he's back on the field and there's no issues anymore.
Yeah, I just think he doesn't want to hold out. He either wants a contract or he wants to play for someone else.
Zeke's getting personal with Jerry Jones, and that's why I think this is going to drag on for a lot longer.
Jerry Jones don't care. He can
I know.
less.
Yeah. Dak Prescott cares when he's going to get absolutely bum rushed by every single defensive end in this league this year.
I think it's no lie. They need Zeke to be successful. I don't know if Jerry Jones knows that.
100%.
Oh no, Jerry Jones won't admit that because that's negotiation 101. You don't admit you need the thing you're trying to get.
That's a horrible way of negotiation.
That's Jerry Jones, bro.
That's Jerry Jones. He's from Texas.
It's horrible.
So we're talking about this. What do you guys think about Clowney pretty much just coming out today saying there's 2 teams I want to go to, fired his agent, while Miami is like hard after him right now.
But why would you
He named Philly and Seattle as the 2 teams he wants to go to.
Well, basically with Philly, you're going to be a rotation defensive end with like 4 other guys, but you're going to have a shot at a Super Bowl. Seattle, you're going to have a playoff spot instantly.
You think Clowney would be in a rotation?
Well, here's the problem. You're going to throw in him with Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett, and then you also have who's the other guy? Actually, no, you probably start.
Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, Philly probably has the most cards because the Texans need running backs.
And they could send them Smallwood or Sproles tomorrow, and
Dude,
they wouldn't.
Philly's loaded
Josh
right
Adams, and they wouldn't even have to blink an eye.
That's
They won't trade Howard.
right there. Load up on running
They won't
back.
trade Howard. They won't trade Miles Sanders, but they'll dump the other 3 guys in a
That's
heartbeat.
what I'm saying. Clement, all those guys. I mean,
Yeah, Clement. Yeah,
I wouldn't even say him, but I mean, everyone's talking about Alshon Jeffrey. Dude, Texans do not need wide receivers.
Yeah, I don't understand where that whole trade rumor came from because basically, like Philadelphia, like has Jeffrey locked up. He's the way Philadelphia.
He's healthy this year.
They have a similar kind of like system to how New England has that whole do your job culture. Philadelphia is like this family kind of brotherhood culture. That's how they won the Super Bowl. They're all in. They're all together. If you ever watch the locker room interviews, they're all like they all hang out and stuff like that. Jeffrey's one of the leaders in that locker room, along with Jenkins, Cox, Carson Wentz, Zach Ertz, etc. I can keep going. Lane Johnson, Chris Long when he was there. So they would never trade Jeffrey because also with that offense, he's one of Carson's like favorite targets when Carson can actually stay upright. But I do see your point. I think Philadelphia has more of a card to play here because they can send Clement or Josh Adams to them tomorrow. Adams is now like rotating in with Duke Johnson, and they send maybe a second and an eighth, second and a seventh over for Clowney with Adams. They got another defensive end they can rotate in with in their 3-man rotation with what's his face, Vinny Curry, Derek Barnett, and Brandon Graham. You're going to tell me that's not a disgusting offensive line? I'd be shitting my pants if I was an NFC East quarterback right now. If Clowney went to the Eagles tomorrow,
you must be smoked right now.
I'm actually fine. I'm only at 2 beers.
I'm smoked.
You said you said Adams is rotating with Duke Johnson, and then you just talked about your defensive line. You said that is a disgusting offensive line.
I meant to say defensive line. I'm sorry.
Well, I know what you meant to say.
I'm not that smoked at all.
Dude, this is great.
No,
Anyways,
I'm actually very overtired, Mike. Thanks for noticing, but
just make sure best interest, man. Face the franchise. We got to make sure you're okay.
Listen, tell my other boss that he needs to lay off me a little bit. The guy's been trying to kill me the last 3 weeks. Basically, no. But if Clowney goes to the Eagles tomorrow, or if he goes to even if it goes to Seattle, now you're looking at another team with a good. Seattle's now got their replacement for Frank Clark. They've got the pass rusher. Basically, though, Clowney's a 1-year mercenary unless Philadelphia or Seattle can throw the money at him.
Both of them that's what he's going to want. But
well, basically, who gave up less on their quarterback? Philly did, but Philly also paid a lot of their other players. The cap. I'm not really an expert on cap space, not really my forte, but Howie will figure out some way to pay Clowney if he does come there. But I don't know. I think it does make an interesting point though about him being still in the market. But yeah, I wouldn't want to go to Miami if you paid me every dollar in the world. What, go 3-13 and barely be relevant anymore?
All right. Well, we're about to finish up, but Blaine shot me a message today. He's kind of got something he wants to throw in there. We'll switch it up to a different sports here. Blaine, you want to?
This is the thing. So Little League World Series just ended. And the one thing that has legitimately got me, like, I don't know if it's not necessarily angry, but it's more of why don't they do this is the length of the fence. Like home runs, I feel like they're just poking it, just doing half swings, and it's a home run. Especially with the kind of bats they use, it takes off. And I think it's a little bit more in terms of overall fun of the game. Move the fences back.
How far out are they on average right now? Do you know?
Not off the top of my head. I need to look that up.
I feel like it's probably like in
do a little
like
research.
200, 250. I don't even know.
These balls are clearing the fence by, even the highlights, they're clearing the fence by at least 30, 40 feet. Even when I was in Little League, even in like a crappy league that I was in, dudes were still hitting balls 30, 40 feet over the fence. And that was before they made the whole bat change from BESR to BB Core, and now they're I don't even know what the new style they're using now, but basically they've been trying to dumb down the bats to basically make them wood because of how much.
So forgive me if this has been talked, not with us, but what is the reasoning behind the transition between aluminum to they don't play with wood bats
Pitcher
at that
safety.
league because of just breaking? That's why I kind of figured.
The breaking of the bats and also wooden bats are a little harder to maneuver, and you can't make wooden bats light enough and strong enough for kids at that age. Because wooden bats only have a certain, you can only make them like a drop 3, drop 4 weight percentage or something like that, just to make them structurally strong enough. But basically, at the age where they're hitting the Little League World Series, these bats are still hitting them bombs. But back when I played with, like, the BESR bat, we're basically adding an extra 60 feet to every ball you hit.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, they changed it up because of pitcher safety. And it went from high school all the way down because kids were taking 130-mile-an-hour rockets right off the bat and taking them right off the mound. Being a kid who got drilled in the rib cage a couple times, it's not fun. But, like, I got lucky. It was off a wood bat I got tagged with. But still, it's extremely painful. And I lucked out in the ribs.
I think the real question is, if you give up a bomb, should you go give that kid a handshake?
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
No.
I don't hate it.
Like, you wait until after the game to say, "Hey, thanks for."
I'm so torn because
at that
age, it's a great thing. It's a great.
I mean, the whole atmosphere.
Preach.
Yeah, the whole atmosphere for that, for Little League World Series of sportsmanship. I mean, and then you have the intros. I still think Big Al, "I hit dingers," is by far the greatest hit line in the world. And the fact that he sounds like he's a 6-year-old dude that smoked a pack of Marlboros every day. So, but that's
home runs. These kids are not your average kids. You got kids that are 6'3", 250, and they're 12 years old.
Yeah,
like, my God,
the kid from Louisiana that hit that grand slam in the semis, I think it was. He's like 6'2", looks like Christian Yelich. Like, he had a big leg kick and everything, and he sent that thing flying. But research, 200 feet corners. 200 feet is left and right field corners.
Right now?
Right now.
Okay. Yeah, that's way too short. I would agree with you. especially with the way athletes are progressing.
Like, you move that back 20. You move that back 25 feet. Those aren't home runs.
Those are like deep fly balls.
Yeah,
right.
Or even like extra base hits. But they're not like making on trippers.
Yeah.
But to the high five point that Mike brought up,
running dry.
We just talked about Andrew Luck saying good hit. I don't see how high fiving somebody who hit a home run off you is any different.
Well, I never said saying a good hit after you get slaughtered was good idea either. I mean, it's great sportsmanship, but
there's book smart and there's street smart.
Yeah, obviously we saw how Andrew Luck turned out.
Luck is a book smart dude, but those are the nerds that they can't function. Like, the dude is odd out of his gourd. Great athlete, but has dude was like talking to a brick wall. Like, outside of the emotion that he showed in his retirement, that guy was like Elmer Fudd out there. Like, dude, like these athletes. I mean, he's got a degree from Stanford. I think he's got. I heard all this stuff, but I mean, the dude is smart. He's athletic. That's why, you get those artsy fartsy people that are like dark, hiding in the corners like Zach. Like, I mean, God, they're not athletic at all. So.
I love how
Mike's
making these points right now, but like he's so glitchy right now we can barely understand him.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to out good, great. I feel like we're just running this segment for no reason right now. We're talking about Little League.
I know, because like right now,
this was Blaine's round table and it's turned into a full segment.
I didn't realize it would bring so much discussion. I just wanted to say I think it's BS. Well,
I agree.
I agree too.
We're ending this. All right. I'm glad you guys joined me tonight. And Jared, your face is a franchise, Belly Up Sports, and Corner Booth. Don't forget that. Who, he was so bad. His one co-host ended up leaving him. So.
You know, you're really
anyway,
doing me justice here by saying my show was that bad.
No, man, we gotta get those Twitter follows.
Bro, I am like useless on Twitter.
Am I really glitching out that bad? Because everything I say, you guys aren't responding to. So
yes,
literally, he's
not that bad.
Fog right now.
You sound like you're more inebriated.
Yeah, you're like 100 miles away from the mic.
Yeah.
The bad thing, the mic's right here. The bad thing is let's just, all right, we're out of here. To everybody that supports us, yep, the bad thing is I'm not even drinking as much as the rest of these idiots, so Jared, just take us out. Let's go.
All right, ladies and gents, thank you for, of course, our sponsors, especially Design Tree. John says what up. We will see you guys next week with, apparently Mike says we have something cool coming on, some kind of surprise for everyone. So check it out. Check out Puck Pass. Check out What's Up Belly Up. Check out the best podcast around, Corner Booth. We actually just introduced our new co-host. She'll be coming on, and she's not sick of me and Kevin yet. That's it. We will see you guys next week.
All right, see y'all.